For the January bill. I've been done. I've got the checks ready. If you print, I will have to be around. I'm hoping to get everything done that first week. Yes.
Next. And even though they have spaces for restaurants,
We're going well, so the radio advertising that was our, we just insisted on telling us what they were not to pay that. So I booked it today and still advertising. But I still don't know until yeah, I mean, I've got something in there. keeping together. Yeah. They're a couple years apart, but they're both able to still make sure it's happening. Yeah, and they were actually playing because I saw her. She was the one with the she's technically, yeah, she's starting. She's taking but she's playing on the U16 because they have this 2006. Yeah, those are like high school. The younger team of that Sadie's team.
Thank you all for coming. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we test, the things we may say or do, is it the truth, is it fair to all concerned, will it build goodwill and better friendships, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. Where are today's leaders? In the lunch line? Thanks, Amy. This is the point of the meeting where we introduce our guests and visiting Rotarians.
Of course. So if we have any visiting Rotarians or any guests, would you mind standing up for a second?
And then Jennifer, if you could just introduce them in the group. Welcome, guys. Any others?
And my guest today is Roberta Smith. It's her second meeting. She is a public health director.
And thought for the day. Who did we have thought for the day? Was that Hazel? Were you thought for the day? Tiffany, right. Thank you. Hustle.
Okay, so yesterday we were biking next, so I came up with a thought for the day, and I rolled through. And I figured you guys would be a little lax with me since we did laughter yoga on my last thought for the day. So the quote for the day is hiking. It's fun between your legs.
Thank you. I mean, we'll take it. Tiffany never has to do thought for the day. We have quite a few announcements today, so please continue meeting, but pay attention. Sign-ups for greeters and thought for the day will be coming out eventually. I'm just trying to build up suspense before we pass around the sign-up sheet. Chris and I both kind of dropped the ball on that today. Excuse me. I'm going to make a quick announcement on behalf of the membership committee. Adrian Stroke is taking over from Dan, as we all know. The new membership social will be July 28th, 5 o'clock at the Catamount Lake House. Excuse me. I'm getting all choked up. So happy to have new members. Yesterday was my first board meeting. And the feedback I got was there are only 11 more. Thank you for that, Jillian. Unfortunately, I do have to share, we had to accept the resignation of member Dose Crow. Dose is moving to Texas and won't be able to participate in our club anymore, which is too bad. We do have a card going to Dose, but please feel free to reach out. It's obviously an amicable split, and we're sorry to see him go. Okay, I'll skip the rest of the board minutia. That meeting went on long enough if you happen to be there with us. Chuck, Chief, if you wouldn't mind, Chuck is volunteered, I volunteered him to share some information with us about Sleepy Bear, Old Home Park, and Morgan Creek Fire. I want to thank everyone for jumping to attention when Chuck put out the call for help for the Sleepy Bear folks. But please.
Well, I guess I don't know if everybody's up to speed on what happened with Sleepy Bear, but they had an electrical accident that took out power to about 15 of the homes out there. And this was back in mid-June when it originally happened. Because of the infrastructure age and everything else, basically we were unable to get the, when I say we, the combination of fire department, building department, and everyone else, were comfortable turning the power on until an electrical engineer got out there, and so that took more time. eventually they decided that really they weren't comfortable utilizing the existing system. So now they have to go into connecting those homes through a new system, which is going to be construction, which everyone knows how construction is going right now. So anyway, we really got to a point where we were trying to figure out what we could do. And so where Rotary stepped up and helped out, which was great, was the fire department has on loan to us a solar trailer that provides AC power, about 4,000 kilowatt hours of AC power from active solar panels, and then 8,000 in storage. So we brought that out there, provided them some ability to charge phones and computers and whatnot, but we put up the call for some refrigerators and freezers, and within a half a day we had 3 various freezer, thanks to Tiffany, and a refrigerator, thanks to Meg. So anyway, so they have some refrigeration out there and ice storage to help them get through the rest of this, which hopefully will be resolved in a couple weeks. And then what else is there?
The Morgan Creek.
Oh, there's a fire going on up north.
What?
Really?
I don't know if you guys saw that this weekend. Obviously, it just started Friday. Last I heard, which was I think about 10 to 8 this morning, the update was 3,800 plus acres that are burning. It's into the Zirkles. It started just off Seed House Road, or a little ways off Seed House Road. There are about 50 structures that are in the area, but fortunately the fire seems to be moving away from those, and like I said, into the Zirkles. It hit some of the burn scar from the middle fire, and from, I can't ever remember the name of the fire, but the one that was around Hinman Lake a little while back, which has helped it lay down pretty good, but it is in tremendous amount of fuels. They haven't said this yet, but my guess is this will be another long duration fire for us, unfortunately, and we'll see that burn probably until snow flies. Don't quote me on that. I'm not up there. Both of these fires in our area are federal fires, so our interaction as far as steamboat fire is limited, but we do occasionally help out, especially when structures are threatened, is our kind of key for local resources to go and help those folks. They are transitioning. They transitioned from Type 4 feds to a Type 3 team on Sunday, and transitioning to a Type 2 team I think today and tomorrow. So it's escalating. Type 2 teams are basically the second highest level of the federal resources to manage a fire like that. So it's going to get big. Hopefully it doesn't get as big as some of the ones we saw last year, but the good part is there's lots of fuel. It's good for it to burn. It's in. If we could pick a place for a fire like that to start, that's not a bad place for it to start. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. And please don't hesitate to let the club know what we can do to help. The membership really did step up. I had quite a few folks reach out to me in response to that email from last week, offering money to buy refrigerators or anything that makes the city very might. So I will stay in touch should we need that kind of help. But right now, that's not what they need. So thank you all for reaching out. As you know, if you were last week, getting on top of service and really reaching out and focusing on our community is going to be a big part of what I'm trying to help this group accomplish here. And we have the opportunity to do it week 1. So thank you all for helping. Next, this is the exciting, fun part of being president. Yesterday at the board meeting, it was brought to my attention, several have not. It's a personal decision. We're not going to get into that here. What's important to me is all respecting one another and our beliefs. And we're here meeting in person because the majority of us are feeling safe. The community has opened back up. Not everyone feels that way. And I ask everyone to respect that. The CDC shared with me that if you're unvaccinated, you're safe. Some vaccinated members may choose to wear masks when meeting here in person. Obviously, we want to respect people's decisions in that regard. Virtual is still an option. As you've got the cameras, it's continuing to adjust. We went live today instead of after the program was finished. So we're improving. I know that there are several people online joining us. A member reached out to me saying they weren't feeling well and could they join in virtually. That's why we're doing this. Yes, if you are attending virtually, if you're not able to put a little comment in the chat, please reach out to Tiffany and let her know that you did attend, so you get credit for that, or myself, I can pass it along. As far as the COVID situation goes, I am looking for guidance from Rotary International, from the district. We've got a district-wide meeting on Friday. I will obviously pass that information along, but I'm just asking everyone to respect one another, utilize the four-way test. It's a great guide for interacting with one another, especially in times like this. So thank you. I was really hoping I wouldn't have to deal with COVID at all. I'm sure we're all feeling that way. Okay, thanks. Member billing. This is another fun one. I was just asked, a lot of members, and I've been very guilty of this in the past. At Jillian's first meeting as president last year, we got the notice of delinquent accounts, and there was my name right on top. I let the email, if I don't deal with it, it gets lost in my inbox. If you're able to pay, please do so promptly. Otherwise, it starts this cascade of work for the leadership team. If you're not able to pay, if you're facing hardship, let someone know. Let myself or a trusted board member know, and we will work with you. We're interested. Everyone's here, part of the same crew, we're all in this together. We can help lift you up if you need a little assistance when that time comes. So let us know. It's nothing to be ashamed about. We're all there from time to time. Board members and committee chairs will be getting an email from me about a conflict of interest form. This is not a way to disqualify you from being a committee chair or a member of the board. This is strictly to comply with the IRS in filing our 990. As a nonprofit, we need leadership to submit these conflict of interest forms. So I will send you, if that applies to you, an email. Mercy, who couldn't be here today, but is one of your board members, pardon me, is very interested in starting a Rotaract club at CMC. I gave her my encouragement to get that happening. Rotaract, for those of you who don't know, is falls in between Interact and Rotary. So it's for young professionals and college students as a way to introduce them to Rotary. It's a great way to feed young professionals into Rotary proper. So I want to do everything I can to support that effort. Reach out to Margie if you're interested in helping. September 18th, there's a district assembly in Laramie, Wyoming. For now, it's in Laramie. I signed up as soon as I got the email because I'm trying to do better at responding to my emails right away. If anyone is interested in joining, please let me know and we can get you signed up. Are there any announcements that I forgot? Ellen, please. Oh, I didn't forget. Ellen's surprising me. I'm just going to write you in every week.
So on Monday, next Monday at 4 o'clock, we are having the public awareness committee meeting. So if there's anybody who wants to attend or take a look at it and what we do, no commitment to staying on the committee, but season's plan, but just notify me first. We're trying really hard to let the club know about any committee meetings that happen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Any others? All right, then we'll move on to our program. Today we have Sorry? Okay. Today we have two programs. First, we have the new member introduction of Steve Weiss. Where is Steve? Hi. Here he is, right here. We'll follow Steve with a quick video presentation.
Good morning, everybody. So, have you started the clock? I just want to make sure. We're on time. So, my name is Steve Weiss. Thanks for having me. Questions. So, I was born in Pennsylvania, so I'm a Pennsylvania kid. growing up, we moved around about every 3 years until I was 30. At that point in time, I ended up in Chicago and lived there for the longest I've lived in any one place. And that's where I met my beautiful bride, Mitzi. A lot of you know her. And best decision I've ever made. I was working with R.R. Donnelly, which is a printing company, and I had a variety of roles in there. I guess he doesn't like my speech. But and that was a terrific job. When I took it, I started in customer service because I said I was never going to get into sales. And you know, it's one of those things about saying never. You never should say it. And I ended up getting into sales, and it turned out to be one of the best things I've ever did. And really enjoyed that. Had a good career there. But saw the writing on the wall in the early, mid-1900s where the internet was going to take over. So it was getting much more competitive, wasn't as fun. So I left and started my own business, Weiss Strategic Sourcing. And so I started negotiating paper print contracts. Very exciting work, really exciting. It really kind of worked my brain a lot. But it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I had fortunate, my business deals with small entrepreneurial companies. So kind of retail, old catalog business, but catalog internet retailers, medium size. I ended up getting engaged with the customer, and through that customer, I opened up an office in Shanghai and started sourcing product for resale in this country. And that was fascinating. Again, it's a never say never story, in that when I was in college, went to Miami of Ohio, I said back then it was, Japan was really like an economic powerhouse. And I said, I have no desire to go to Asia, I will never go to Asia. Well, after I started this office, like in Shanghai, in Hong Kong, now I have an office in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, and it's been really interesting to get out and do business across these other cultures. So that's been really a lot of fun. And you know, our business model is pretty simple. You know, we help do the translation and negotiation and that type of work. We identify the factories, we do the quality inspections and make sure your products get shipped the way you want them. So if you order something in blue, it comes in blue, not pink, that kind of stuff. So it's really been interesting work and been fun to do that. I love my customer base because you start from a passion, you know, and it could be anything. That they love Corvettes and decided to get in the Corvette supply business, or you know, things like that. So they're very passionate people, very successful people, come from all walks of life, and you know, they make decisions really quick. And working for a large company, it took forever to get decisions made, so it was good fun from that standpoint. So how we came to Steamboat was kind of interesting. Growing up with my two sons, we always took vacations out in the mountain towns. And we've never been to Steamboat until my son, my oldest, went to Laramie, University of Wyoming. And so I told him if he came home after his freshman first semester and looked for a job, at least made the effort to look for a summer job, we would go back spring break to go skiing. And so he did that, and so I'm looking for places to go skiing. And I said, we've never been to Steamboat, it's kind of on the way, so let's go to Steamboat. So we came here, and I noticed this big, beautiful tennis center, and my wife loves to play tennis. And so I said, we gotta come back here and check this thing out. So we come back out a year later. My other son is looking at CSU and Denver and other schools out here. And we spent like 4 days in here, falls in love with it. Let's come back, like, you know, for Parents Weekend, and let's look at property. Just look, just look. Because we come here, just look, and we leave making an offer, and we're residents of Steamboat today. So it's really a good decision. And so I guess the other interesting aspect to us is we have a family foundation, and that family foundation has been focused primarily on education. And you know, it's been interesting because it's been higher level education, more scholarships. That's not all we do, but that's a lot of what we do. But we started moving away from that, unless it's very specific, like math and science based. And we've kind of gotten more into funding organizations that are teaching the trades, because that seems to be a real gap that has developed over time. And so we've been funding organizations that give people an option outside of the college experience. Because college isn't for everybody. Not everybody needs a college education. I can't tell you in my business how many people I've seen who've been incredibly successful who have a high school education. So that's what we that's what we do. And happy to be here. Happy to take your questions. Go ahead.
I have a question about language. Since you have been doing business in all these different Asian countries that are all different, Vietnamese and whatever, what is your language skill, or do you have people?
I speak English. And some people say I don't speak it very well. But you know, when I've hired staff, and it's pretty amazing. My team speaks in both Vietnam and China. So they take care of that for me. I've been able to pick up things, so I sit there in conversations and play stupid, and they don't think I know what they're saying. And I've done it enough where I'm not comfortable speaking it because it's a very different way of speaking for us. But I tend to understand what's going on in the discussion. So I've relied on translators. And not Google. Because Google doesn't work very well.
Well, I know in the interior design field, a lot of the instructions to Vietnam.
Yeah, China's a real interesting animal. I love Vietnam. The people are warm and friendly. I can't believe we were in a war with them. It's wonderful. My first trip was a little odd because, going to a place where we were fighting, it wasn't all that long ago. But it was interesting to kind of see their side of the picture, and stuff. They're very warm, very friendly, actually very religious. I was there over Easter, and their cathedral, Notre Dame Cathedral, was right behind my hotel, and very easy to find. If you were in China and you wanted to find a church, good luck. They just didn't know what they were. They were out there, but they wouldn't talk about it. Time's up.
The biggest challenge you face with your business?
So, the biggest challenge, COVID has been huge. We survived it, but we had to make a lot of cuts to do it. And we worked very closely with my customers to do that. All my customers except one has recovered, and that one that hasn't is a party supply business. And that's just going to take a while for them to recover. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. But I did pick up a new client during that time, and they're in the craft kit business, and that business boomed. And I'm amazed at the kind of business you can build out by selling these craft kits that go out for 50 cents to $5, and we buy 100,000 of them at a time. So it's pretty interesting to see what people come up with.
How often do you travel to Asia?
Well, right now I haven't been in 2 years, and because of technology, you don't really have to do it as much as you do. I mean, I've been on factory floors sitting in my office at midnight just because I want to see the tour, and they do it that way. But prior to that, it's been about every 2 years. About twice a year, I should say. It's been twice a year, and right now I've been wanting to go back over there, but my teams are all telling me don't come. They're not comfortable for a lot of reasons. Not just my warm and cheery personality, but it was they're still concerned about COVID. They're still highly concerned about COVID, even though their governments are saying something else. It's still an issue. So, going once, going twice.
This is a very nice question. You've been in Pennsylvania, Chicago, Colorado, sports.
That's a good question. I am a Steelers fan. I'm also a Packer fan.
Oh.
I'm a Bulls fan, but that was because I lived there when Michael Jordan was there. And you cannot be not a Bulls fan when Michael Jordan was there.
Kind of move on.
But because the Bulls are really, ever since, let's face it, when you blow up a championship team just because you think you can rebuild it, you never get any talent after that. Nobody wants to come play for the Bulls. So, good question. I did meet 3.5 presidents. Do you want to know who that was? So it was Gerald Ford, and I was in high school. I was going into my sophomore year. He was in town playing at a Pro-Am, so my parents took me along, and we were in the tent afterwards having lunch, and he was sitting on the other side of the tent, so the other side of the room. And my mom said, he loves, young men. You should go up and say hi to him. All of this stuff, trying to encourage me. And it's just like, I'm like really shy and very introverted, and I'm like, okay. So it took me what seemed like an hour to get my confidence up. It was probably like 10 minutes. So I got up and I started walking over, and I see him kind of sort of heading through the exit. So I kind of go over and try to cut him off, and I got my hand out and I said, "Mister," and these two men, dark glasses, suits, earpieces, got in front of me and said, "President's tired, he's leaving now." So that's all I got. I mean, that was my hat. That was my hat. But he did hit somebody in the head with a golf ball. He hit him with a golf ball. And that was his thing, I guess. So. Good. Go ahead.
Who went to 3?
Nixon. Now you know my family's politics. And, there was always this talk about Nancy was like pulling strings behind him and stuff like that. But you would see them in a small group. I got to meet him in a small group. And it was very interesting. His eyes were always on her, and she was always in the crowd. It wasn't that she was like telling him what to say, but if you couldn't hear him, she'd be like kind of giving him like signals, and he'd get a little louder, and just kind of giving him some direction. And it was just kind of interesting. And I guess if you're a politician, I think they all do that. I mean, they all have to do that. So.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
The second part of our program today, and I'll walk and talk because I've got this cool wireless microphone now. If you recall, gosh, almost a year ago now. A year ago, Ellen, through Ellen, helped arrange a district matching grant for the new Child Advocacy Center that is being developed by advocates and a number of other organizations in town. And the grant was to create a promotional video to kind of raise awareness of what a Child Advocacy Center is and why we need it in this community. And these are the fruits of that effort.
Welcome to Brighter World. In 2019, a dynamic force of community partners across Northwest Child Advocacy Center, or CAC. In coordination with advocates of Routt County, Brighter World CAC opens its doors to meet the unique needs of child abuse victims in our community.
What is a CAC? To understand what a Children's Advocacy Center is, one must understand that young victims of abuse face without one. Without a CAC, a child may end up re-traumatized by telling the worst story of their life over and over again to doctors, police, lawyers, therapists, investigators, judges, and many others.
They experience the stress of going to a police station where they think they might be in trouble or face the real possibility of being asked the wrong questions by a well-meaning teacher or other friendly adult that ends up damaging the case against their abuser.
Brighter World CAC provides a safe, child-focused environment for police or child protective services to bring children who may be experiencing abuse. At Brighter World, the child tells their story only once to a trained interviewer who knows the right questions to ask in a way that does not re-traumatize the child. Then, a team of medical providers, law enforcement, mental health specialists, prosecutors, child protective services, victim advocates, and other professionals collectively make decisions about how to support the child and family while guarding the integrity of the process for potential legal action.
CACs also not only offer therapy and medical exams, but also courtroom preparation, victim advocacy, case management, and other services.
Why is CAC important for our communities? Child advocacy centers are designed to prevent a child from being re-traumatized by systems that are meant to protect them. Our community is one of the last in the state to establish a child advocacy center, and our children deserve a centralized facility and skilled professionals when dealing with the trauma of abuse.
Availability of a childhood advocacy center for victims within Moffat County specifically is crucial, as we currently do not have access to best practice multidisciplinary team approaches under one roof. We have outsourced for many resources for our victims.
It doesn't have to be the story that defines their life. At a child advocacy center, we listen closely, we get the story, and then we go with the resources. And we support that child, that family, our community, and we come to justice, and we also come to a brighter future.
As district attorney, I think a child advocacy center is needed in our community for many reasons. One, to make sure that children victims of abuse are treated with respect in every way. And two, to make sure that that plays out in a way that allows us to get justice for them in the courtroom. And the only real way to make sure that happens is through the Child Advocacy Center model.
As a mother of 2 children, I want what's best for them and every other child in this community. Unfortunately, this is a need in our community. I wish it wasn't, but it is. Having a dedicated center that is focused on our children, that is safe for them, is so crucial.
In child welfare, the root of what we do and what we strive for is to work in the best interest of children and their families. And so to have a child advocacy center in our region would just be amazing. It is really supporting the goal that we have in child welfare, working in children's best interest. And so it would provide this valuable resource in our community closer to home, so that the families that we work with and the kids that we work with don't have to travel 2.5 hours to talk about probably one of the most traumatic events in their life that they've experienced. So that's why from child welfare's perspective, it would be really great and needed in our community.
A child advocacy center is needed in our community because our children and our families deserve it. We have great people currently who are providing needed resources to children and families who experience abuse, but if we can do better, there's no reason not to.
Child abuse and neglect are awful to think about. Rather than turning a blind eye, you can become a powerful force for improving the status quo, providing needed resources, and making a huge difference in the lives of our most vulnerable citizens.
Nothing is more important than the health and well-being of our children. We all have a role to play in making sure that we, as a community, are doing everything in our power to ensure our youth can flourish.
Consider supporting the Brighter World Child Advocacy Center with a generous donation or by raising awareness of this vital resource through either personal and professional networks.
Together, we can build a safer community and a brighter world by ensuring that young victims of abuse are completely supported with a real chance to survive their trauma and go on to experience full, vibrant lives.
It is important for people to know that no matter what lies in their past, they can overcome the darkness and press on to a brighter world.
You can see all the different agencies that are involved in getting this important resource started. I'm happy to answer questions about it now or at a later time. But on behalf of Brighter World, I think we want to thank certainly this club and the district at large for matching the grant that this club provided to help make that video possible. Brighter World Child Advocacy Center, the renovations have finished in the office space. Many thanks to so many of our very generous donors, not least of which was an incredible donation from UC Health, Napa Valley Medical Center, to the tune of $50,000. In addition to that, if you've been in the club for a while, I know we've all heard Patty Oakland, who used to run up the forensic nursing program at the hospital, present. She's a very compelling speaker about a very compelling need
in this community for forensic medical exams for victims of sexual assault, rape. We're developing on site at Brighter World and a forensic nurse exam room there as well, because a lot of times victims are unwilling to go to the hospital in a community as small as ours and run across 12 different people they know. So we're really trying as easy as possible for victims to get the services they need. CAC is specifically geared toward child victims, and again, I keep looking at Karen as the representative essentially of UC Health, Yampa Valley Medical Center. They have trained up 4 forensic nurses now. We used to have 1 and maybe 2 that were sometimes available and now available 24/7. They're now trained in forensic medical exams, which is a service we've never offered in the Valley before, and is crucially important. So thank you again. Paula?
I saw yesterday on Advocate's Facebook page that you have some needs, and what you ought to do is tell everybody what needs are, because there may be people here who can fulfill those sort of hard good needs.
Paula's saying she saw on the Advocates Facebook page. So Advocates in the Brighter World are essentially sister organizations underneath an umbrella that oversees them both. Paula said that the Advocates Facebook page posted some urgent needs that the CAC is facing, and if you reach out to me, I'd be happy to distribute that to you. I can't just send it to everybody, or Paula can share it with you. I'm not sure specifically what those needs are, to be honest. Jillian?
Is there a fundraiser tomorrow for Advocates?
Yes, there is a big one.
Is there really?
3 to 6. Paula's
where's it located?
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you. Why don't you say it?
Paula is selling her quilts tomorrow from 3 to 6 and donating the money to Advocates. And
I know Holly's helping make that happen as well. I'm not here to ask for money. This is awkward enough, like being in this position and sharing this with you. And I don't want anyone to feel pressured to help in that way. But if you feel so inclined, please reach out to me after the meeting. Scott.
Oh, Mark, just so that you can build it back into the Rotary spirit, you did mention that this was funded by our grants committee, and what our grants committee?
No, actually, it was a unique grant. The governor's grant.
Our club gave, and then the governor matched it.
Helen, would you like to share the details of how?
I just know governor's grant, I don't know where that 500
For the matching funds from our
The
club.
district gave us 1,000. We put in 500. Jillian
I believe that was, maybe Jillian's discretionary and board funds.
Well, I was going to jump into that. And our foundation just reached 900,000.
Thank you. It's way of getting out of paying into good news to share that. Our local Rotary endowment held by the Community Foundation, as Scott just said, just reached over $900,000 in balance. This was a goal that the club has had since the fund was established. We wanted to reach $1 million within 10 years, and we're well ahead of that timeline right now. So it's due to the generosity of this club, and that, as we all know, funds our grants program for local community grants to institutions like Advocates or Boys and Girls Club or partners. The committee that Tara leads up. So thank you, Grants Committee, for all the hard work. But really thank you to the membership for all your contributions into that fund. It's multiplying, and it's just fantastic. The added benefit we're able to provide to this community due to everyone's individual generosity, even if it's as little as $25 a quarter, it clearly adds up, as we're seeing now. Anything else? Thank you all for helping me. Thank you. I'd like to thank Steve again for his presentation, and we're going to move into good news. Everyone's favorite part of the day. Rex Bryce has graciously accepted my demand that he run good news today. And as a reminder, if you could introduce yourself as you're getting up to speak,
It's been a long time since we've all been together, and it benefits everybody.
Mark picked me so you could remember who I was. I haven't been here in so long. Mark, should we start with you with a $50 advertisement?
My phone rang last week, Rex. I'm flush out of 50s.
All right, so in this club we don't do fines, we do good news, and proceeds of which go to our scholarship programs.
And just so you know, Rex, if people want, all they have to do is tell me.
And if you would like to be billed, let us know, and Angela will take care of it.
I have no cash, so we'll start out with letting Angela, would you bill my account for $10?
Yes.
Just briefly, I had absolutely a wonderful weekend. We were hosting a wedding shower for my stepdaughter, but all of our family came into town for it. I have 4 kids between my husband and myself and 3 grandchildren. Now we have 2 spouses and a fiance, 3 spouses and a fiance. They were all there, and it was, my husband and I were in tears at the end of the evening because it was so special to have everybody there around a huge table, dining, drinking wine, and just having a wonderful time. So honestly, it was a special weekend for me.
I really miss talking to all of you.
Last week I didn't get up and talk about my trip out to California. We went out there. I'm sorry, my name's Jillian Morris. We went out there after a year. My dad passed last May, and we went out there to finally have a service for him. And it was pretty neat. My mom's one of 5, and all of her all of her siblings, and all of she's one of 5 spouses.
Are you sure this wasn't
All of her siblings and their spouses were there, and several of my cousins and some of their kids. And my mom was really wrapped up in the details of how are we going to do this, what are we going to do, and we couldn't really figure it out. So we went and got some little shot glasses, like red Solo Cup ones, and we went down to the water, and she just said, "Thank you all for coming. You meant the world to him, and do whatever you want now." And so my sons and my nephews, each, all 4 of them, grabbed a shot glass and got some of my dad's ashes, and in all of their nice clothes, they walked all the way into the ocean and body surfed back in with them. And then they would come out and get more, and they did it probably 8 times with my youngest son, Olson. He turned around and he said, "This is Papa's last adventure." It was so neat at the end of it because you spend all this time worried about the details, and then you have these kids that just make it all perfect. So it was a pretty spectacular celebration. You'd think after a year that it would be easier than it was right at the beginning, and it's not. It doesn't change at all. And then, since I'm standing up and talking about all this sadness, I would just like to put in a little extra money for Susie Foley, who we lost last week. And so anybody who's good friends with her, or Dan, her service is Thursday at 4 o'clock at the Catholic Church.
See, aren't you glad I made you stand up?
Thanks.
I know.
Angela should have come back to you.
Anybody
over here?
She's going to talk about
Hi, yeah, I won't. Because I'm Sana Alfredo, and I'm putting in 60, and it's partly because of my birthday, which was in May. I wasn't here, and I'm sure this is not get older. It's good to be back. Okay, I'm going to put in, I'm being forced to put in $50 because Jillian did something that I didn't think we were allowed to do, which is promote fundraisers and other things like that. But since Jillian has never been good at rules, and actually neither have I'll put in $50. I'm Paula Black. Yes, tomorrow at my house from 3 to 6. I have been an avid quilter for 30 or more years. I donate quilts. I give quilts for babies. And as I was doing spring cleaning, that if something were to happen to me, my daughter would have more than 40 quilts that she had no idea what to do with. So I am selling them all to benefit advocates, bring cash or check. And then I want to say, when we say $900,000 in the community, in the Rotary Fund at the Community Foundation, you all need to understand that we started out with $10,000.
What year?
I want to say it was 93 or 94. Sometime I'll tell the story of my going and begging Rotary for that $10,000 and my having to guarantee that if something happened to it, I would personally replace it. So you all really need to be proud of yourselves, because this is a huge accomplishment, and what it allows us to do in our community through Tara and the members of the Grants Committee is just astounding. So I personally thank you that I didn't have to pay back the $10,000.
Anybody over here? Scott? Come back.
Tara Weaver. Paula makes amazing quilts, so if you're into a quilt or you're into advocates, stop by. I want to say welcome officially to Steve Weiss. I'm a big fond of Weisses, so thank you so much. And let's see, I wanted to put some money in for Scott because he's styling with some socks and some sandals. And he tells me, I go, you're such a dork. He goes, when you're over 60, you can do that, Tara. So I got 22 years until I can rock some socks. And last but not least, I just wanted to share this. I saw this on Facebook, and I know I don't need to explain this group, but I feel like I keep hearing it. So the whole world is short-staffed. Be kind to those who showed up.
Amen.
Carl Gills, put me in for $20, Ange. The Advocacy Center for Children is just a fantastic thing. It's something that's been needed for years, as many people have said, and it's so neat to see that now come to the region. Also, yesterday at the board meeting, Mark didn't indicate, but we did pass the budget for the year that we just started, 1st of July. And if you have any interest in seeing that, it's posted on the Club Runner website. So you can go to it under, it's listed under Club Financials. And as part of that, to go back to the endowment fund, there's a formula that exists that tells us how much of that we can use, and the short answer is it's roughly 4% of what the balance is. And there's a way that we figure out what that balance is. But last year we had $27,000 to spend through the grants committee. This year, because of the increase in the value, we have $31,000 to spend. So that, as has been said many times, the proceeds from that endowment go directly back into the community.
Anybody over here?
Ange, $5. So I had an awesome Sunday. Winnie Delapaga. I had an awesome Sunday. Last summer I had a little 6-month-old staying with me, and he came back on Sunday and with his dad and stepmom, and we went to the beach and played, and it was so awesome because normally I don't see them ever again. And he's doing awesome, the family's doing awesome, and it just warmed my heart. So that was really good. And then the second one, I'm crowdsourcing here. I really have decided that I'm going to buy an e-bike, but I would really love all of your input as to what e-bikes you have and what you think of them. And so if you own an e-bike, please let me know what kind you have and what you think of it.
Hi, I'm Eric Rabisa. My folks, my family, they're off on vacation this week. I had to bail on the vacation, but they're being very, very thoughtful and calling me and telling me what a great time they're having, which is good. They're on a lake in Maine visiting Samantha's grandfather, which is just a special, really cool trip. So I'm really glad. And I had to stay because I've got a job that's just getting out of the ground, and it's in North Route. And the good news is that as I was leaving that job about an hour ago, it was raining up there. So it's good news. I had to use the windshield wipers. I don't think we can count on much rain, but anything is better than nothing. So $10, please. And thanks.
Thanks, Eric. My name is Jeff Sawyer. I haven't been here in a long time. There are a lot of reasons why, but I'm not going to go into that. But I'm going to put in $50 today. It's good to be back at the Grand, and I'd like to welcome the new owners of Northwest Graphics, Karen and Nathan. Jennifer beat me to bringing them to Rotary. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. I was going to bring them along, but I wish you guys the best of luck, and I'm glad you got to attend the Rotary Club. So it's good to be back. Thank you.
Anybody else over here? I thought I saw another hand.
Hi, Jennifer McNeil, $10. Welcome also to Karen and Nathan. Thank you for joining us today. And I too had a really amazing weekend. When my husband and I moved to Steamboat, I saw this place on our property that I thought needed a teepee for some reason. So I bought this huge 16-foot diameter teepee. And then we're like, great, what do we do with this teepee? And COVID hit, and we needed people to help us, and we didn't really have very many friends in town. And so finally, we got around to getting this teepee together, and we spent a lot of time clearing this area in a little aspen grove, and my husband built this base with gravel. And we did invite neighbors and some families in town with children, because we have a 4-year-old. And we had like 30 people show up, and we had this huge barbecue and raised this teepee, which was really fun. And it was just fun to finally have a big party at our house.
Anybody over here?
My name is Andy Wallace, and I put $5 in just because I want to say yesterday was our first board meeting, actual board member, and it was a great time, all 2 hours and 17 minutes. So looking forward to a great year, and thank you, Mark, and I think we'll have a great time together.
Christo was my name. I was at the board meeting yesterday, and I will say the same thing. It was very enjoyable, and all 2 hours and 17 minutes. It was a lot of fun. So you got to start somewhere. You want to set the bar high for the rest of it. So that's what board meeting was fun. And I hadn't been at a board meeting. I've forgotten a lot of my etiquette for meeting etiquette, and so I stood around like a fool at the end when they're ready to go into executive meeting. I understand they're participating in a conversation that we had about COVID. So, but I remember when I was on the board, and I thought, you know what, people come here and they don't really understand how limited you are in time, and they stick around and you're waiting into a board meeting, executive meeting. I was the fool yesterday, so I apologize to the board for that, but it was still a great meeting.
My name's Ian Engel. Ann, please put me down for $15. I want to first apologize to Steve for torturing my puppy while you were trying to address the crowd. I also want to thank Lori for offering to take me if I didn't stop beating her. In all honesty, her foot got caught in the wheel. I would never hurt my puppy. So I felt bad enough. But just a little story about how those Rotary Foundation endowment dollars with the Community Foundation are at work in our community. I know personally, firsthand, because our organization receives grants, and for you who were here last week, for instance, there's a gentleman that we're working with that needed attendant care to be able to maintain his status here in the community with his family and loved ones and where he wants to live. And we were able to pull that together. And he's got some attendant care now, and he's able to not be worried about being left in the lurch or being forced into an institution for lack of services. And that's just a small little piece of kind of what we do, and we use these dollars to do it. So I want to thank everybody so much for being the community that we are.
Hunter Carlson, and I'm have you charge for $50 for about a year and a quarter ago. We decided that Jody and I, my wife, that we were going to survive this thing was to go hide out for a year, and it's basically what we did. So we went from a couple or three meals out a week and a couple of the music venues a week to doing nothing but Jody doing the grocery store every 2 weeks and basically learning a little bit about Zoom. And the reason that I want to donate $50 is the job that Mark and Gillian did for this club this year to make it a real communication path for those of us who were hiding out, and also kind of made it fun and interesting. So I thank you very much.
Hi, Cam Boyd, and I too would like to thank the leaders of this club. It's really, truly great to be back in this room, and great to see you guys all. I'd like to donate $59, because yesterday was my birthday.
Ooh, happy birthday!
So I was actually only 54, but I'll donate 59, sorry. So usually I take the day off and I go on a hike, and usually I go someplace and go fishing. I would usually go up to Zerk Wilderness area, but I figured that wouldn't be a good idea. So I went to the Flat Tops yesterday, and I had a great day, and on the way back down I found a pair of sunglasses in the trail. And I picked them up, thought I'll just leave them down at the bottom of the trail, and I caught up to this man and a boy and started talking to them. They were just on the way down. I noticed the kid was kind of red-eyed, and I said, "Did you lose a pair of sunglasses?" He said, "Yes, yes!" So I returned the sunglasses. It was a great story for a good day.
Cam, you look 58. I'm Chris Hammond. My good news is next week I won't be here. We are doing a house trade with a family in Park City, Utah, and we're going to meet our son and his wife and his wife's parents, and we're going to stay there for a week. So we get to be tourists in a tourist town. It'll be fun.
Anybody else over here? Okay, Ange, you ready?
A big weekend coming up, Ange.
Yeah, I do. Money down. Well, at least I'm not crying. Hazel's like, I don't think I should sit next to you anymore because I look over and she's as red-eyed as I am. Yes, we have soccer tournament. Sorry, you guys, but yeah, there's probably, I don't know, 130 teams, smaller than usual, but 130 teams of soccer coming in this weekend, and super excited. They have one game a day, but the very first game, both my kids are playing at the same time at two different fields, so we'll have to split and divide. But I had my Aunt Lisa come into town a couple weeks ago. She's 6 weeks older than I am, is my mom's youngest sister. Many of you who know me have heard the story. But yeah, her mom and my mom and her mom were pregnant at the same time for us. And she brought in, she was picking up her daughter Sarah in Blaine, Washington, because she was in the AmeriCorps all year. And Amanda came, and
that's great.
My cousin Amanda came and did Liam's seniors pictures, which I can't. So I started this club very pregnant with Liam, and here he is becoming a senior.
Did I get everybody?
No, Rex. You said you were going to get me, and then you said you were going to
Oh.
Sorry, Scott. my buddy over here.
Let's see your socks.
So Cam, one more year.
bit. I think I've been the foundation chair for about 10 years now. I took it over from Greg Stepman. But when I joined this club, I think we were at about 150,000. And when I took over for Greg, we were at about 300, reaching for 500,000. So that's how much this foundation has grown. And if we hit the million that we have a goal of, which is our goal, and which actually we're way ahead of that goal, we'll be able to donate about $45,000 a year back to the community, which I think is just awesome.
And we're gonna have a party.
I put some money in there. I think I missed my birthday in April. I put money in there for that. And I put a little money in for putting Jillian on the spot.
Rex may have missed 2 birthdays, but I think he put enough in there to cover it. Thank you, Rex. Thank you, everyone. God, that's always such a great part of this meeting. Larry, thank you. The leadership of this club did what we did over the last year because we had to, but because we knew it was important. And we're members of this club too. It was just as beneficial for us as it was for everyone else. But thank you for saying that. It means a lot. Chris.
I forgot to ask for a volunteer for greeters next week.
Chris needs a volunteer for greeters for next week. I see Winnie and Brett.
Thank you.
I'll write it down and keep them honest. Readers. Perfect. Steve, thank you. Where'd you go? Right there. Hiding behind the right. Thank you so much for the insight into your life. You didn't talk about hockey. Not hockey fans. The Packers thing, though. It's going to be tough to get over. Oh, we will root for the Avs. Yeah. Fair weather fan. It explains the Packers thing. Steve, thank you. Andy and the rest of the board, the meeting would have been a tight 2 hours and 16 minutes if it weren't for Chris. So we had a lot to cover, and then that COVID bomb dropped in my lap. Roberta, thank you for joining us, and Karen and Nathan, welcome. We hope you join us again. And welcome to the community. Hopefully Jeff didn't leave any time bombs for you over there. Next week we'll be meeting here again. July 27th, we'll be meeting here again. July 27th, Dave Hunter and Katie Brown are presenting the State of the Mountain update from the resort. So we're good to hear all about what they're doing down at the base area. We have a new member reception on the 28th that I mentioned earlier. Those who qualify to attend will hear from the membership committee. August board meeting will be back at the Egg due to overwhelming response from the last meeting. Although yesterday's meeting was great at the, where were we?
Community Center.
The community center. What was the American Legion Community Center? It was a primo spot, and thanks to Ben Struick for catering. As always, that was delicious. I'm excited to announce on August 10th we will be meeting off-site to celebrate the club's 47th birthday, I believe, at the Peace Pavilion. So that'll be an evening meeting, August 10th, 5 p.m. And yeah, we'll have some drinks and light act stuff, and a couple programs being put together by Ellen, some special stuff. So be sure you're there. And it's family friendly, so please bring the little ones. We're hoping to have some fitting activities for the younger members. Board retreat. Your email is forthcoming to the board, and I would like to remind everyone, Jennifer, wonderful job. I would like to remind everyone else to bring a guest. We love growing this club, and there's so many people in this community that could get a lot out of us, and that we could get a lot out of. So let's spread the love. That is all I have today. Thank you all for coming.
Oh, yeah. Credit 8 minutes. Yeah, you get a credit.
Yeah, you
8
get-
minutes to
This
get
comes off of my board.
Same to you, my friend.
Lovely seeing you guys.
Let's go.